So Elon Musk on X is ramping up the robotaxi rhetoric. He says your Tesla car will earn you money. Retweeting his sock puppet account, one of them, there are many of them, Doge designer, who says Tesla owners will have the ability to turn their car into robotaxis. Technically, your car will earn money for you. Technically, is that like I predict? It's like Uber, but the car will drive itself. At the same time, The Verge is saying here Elon Musk's robotaxi fantasy is starting to unravel. We'll have a look at that article. But first, the Motortrend article, Why I Had to Quit Using Tesla Full Self Driving. And this is from the 24th of April, so very recent. They say Tesla robotaxis will use a version of this software to drive without pedals or steering wheel. That's sketchy, they say, and they tested it for a long time and are saying that. They say the timing couldn't have been more serendipitous. On the same day, our story detailing the inadequacies of Tesla's full self-driving FSD system published, FSD committed an error more egregious and alarming than any of the errors before. And they pointed to this previous article, you're a bad driver if Tesla full self-driving is better at driving than you are. And they say being worse than the errors before, that's really saying something, is this was the last straw. After it happened, I deactivated the feature we paid $15,000 for. It's $8,000 today in Motortrend's long-term review 2023 Model Y. After using it regularly for nearly a year, I won't use FSD again. So they use it for a year, tested it for a year, and now they're quitting it because they think it's sketchy and dangerous. Tesla FSD cannot be trusted, they say. What made this area untenable is that it occurred under a very recent FSD software version, specifically version 13.2.2. Worse, it wasn't in some sort of complex traffic situation or navigation maneuver, but in perhaps the simplest road conditions imaginable. So we have to, while we're reading this, think that we might be sitting in the back seat soon of a robotaxi. Here's what happened. At about 20 minutes past sunset, I was cruising with FSD at 55 miles an hour on a rural 2-lane road. The road was completely straight with no nearby adjoining roads and no other vehicles, people, or notable features visible. Suddenly, FSD veered sharply left into the oncoming lane of traffic. I cannot put it any more succinctly. FSD abruptly steered across the solid double yellow lines onto the wrong side of the road. Again, imagine sitting in the back seat with no driver while this was happening. There was no turn signal or other warning. I grabbed the steering wheel and yanked the Model Y back, disengaging FSD, heart racing. I pulled over, parked the car, and turned off FSD from the touchscreen. That was it. I'd given FSD so many chances, and that was the final one. After gathering myself, I resumed driving manually, wondering what the hell had just happened. If I could fantasize a justification, perhaps Tesla's camera-only perception system, ours being the newest hardware 4, got confused by a skid mark that crossed diagonally across the lane lines, a frighteningly ordinary reason for such a potentially dangerous mistake. Indeed, I mean, how many times is that happening on the roads? If another car had been approaching, would FSD have driven me into a head-on collision? I can't say, because in the thousands of miles Motortrend has collectively used FSD, the only predictable thing about it is its unpredictability. So that you can't say that they just went out once or twice and tested it. They've been testing it for a long time, and they think it's too unpredictable. Even these later versions, so the tester bulls, the influencers might say, well, there's a later version than that now. There's always a later version, but this was a pretty late version, and they tested it for a long time and had this result still. How bizarre to think that an automaker promotes and sells a feature prone to such wildly erratic operation. A system that purports an ability to drive itself almost anywhere, anytime. Remember, FSD is the fundamental software that will make Tesla's supposedly upcoming robotaxi fleet function, and they're rolling this out in Austin in just a couple of months, apparently. Given these vehicles intentionally lack a steering wheel or pedals, that's the idea. No steering wheel, no pedals. You're just a passenger and it's driving you. It remains unclear what a passenger might do when the robotaxi's FSD makes an error like this. Maybe someone will post about that on X. Well, there's a lot of influencers, Tesla influencers and sock puppets who post about FSD, how great it is, and bury the errors like this and say that, that it's just an edge case and it's only every 10,000 miles. Well, Elon was talking about that they're finding it hard to find errors because there's so many miles. But the fact is, if you're sitting in the back seat and something like this happens, you're in trouble. So this person from Motortrend does say that it's useful for some situations, and those are when the driving is inept, the driver's inept, or they're infirmed or injured. So if you're injured and you need to get to a hospital, it's like an emergency situation, it could be useful there. So these are the three I's that they're talking about, but not for everyday driving, they think. And now to this Verge article, Elon Musk's robotaxi fantasy is starting to unravel. They say the Tesla CEO has long promised driverless cars that can go anywhere, and that's what he has promised, that they can go anywhere, anytime. But now he's acknowledging that there will be parameters, in quotes. And he did talk about those parameters on the earnings call. Last night in the earnings call, Elon Musk did what he does best, promise millions of autonomous Tesla vehicles would be on the road by the end of next year. It becomes a familiar refrain every year since at least 2020. Well, I think it's before that, actually. I've got video of him saying this before that. Musk has promised Tesla vehicles will finally achieve their full self-driving capabilities. As early as 2017, he was saying, just in a few months, I expect Tesla vehicles could go from Los Angeles to New York and without touching the wheel once. So you could essentially fall asleep. Paraphrasing there, but that's what he did say, as early as 2017, even before that. And every year, those promises fail to come to fruition. Tesla has come under investigation for numerous fatalities involving its vehicles and its driver assist features. Autopilot and full self-driving, his rivals continue to outpace him, and Musk has even acknowledged his overly optimistic outlook by labeling himself the boy who cried FSD. So he jokes about it, but this is serious because he's saying next year, next year, next year. And as we see, there are even memes about it. This Simpsons meme here. Say the line, Elon. We expect to launch next year. The pressure's coming on, and so they have to do it. But is it too dangerous? We're going to look more into this article. But in the meantime, if you're getting value out of this episode so far, do remember to hit that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people. That would really help. Thanks. And so they say that fantasy of millions of autonomous Tesla vehicles is getting closer to reality. Musk promised again last night on that earnings call, you'll be able to sleep in your car and wake up at your destination by the end of next year. That's exactly what he was saying way back by 2017. So he said, as Tesla's financial problems mount, yes, and on their earnings call, their profits have gone way down. The protests against Doge, against Elon Musk, have been ramping up, and it really is starting to hit financials, although he denies that. And he says that the Tesla protesters are paid, which is just ridiculous. The billionaire CEO seemed eager to shift focus away from the drab realities of running a car company amid a tumultuous global trade war and toward a more idealized vision of a future-focused company producing millions of robots, both humanoid and car. So he is expert at selling the future. These evangelicals and people that follow him, that's pretty much a cult. He's talking about the future right up until, Mars. We're going to build a colony on Mars and the logistics to do that. But The thing is that even the Starship hasn't got fully into orbit, properly into orbit with a payload, let alone going to Mars. But that fantasy is looking increasingly out of reach, especially as Musk confronts the limitations of Tesla's technology and the current political reality that he helped usher in. So, yes, he is responsible for this. He's talking about how he doesn't like tariffs, and he paid more than $250 million to Trump for the campaign, and he is looking like he could step back away because it's been vastly unpopular. Well, the headlines are saying he's stepping away, but on that earnings call, he didn't actually say that. But the cult, the Elon cult, still supporting. In fact, the stock went up. And this sort of meme, this parody here, Tesla declares bankruptcy. Stock immediately doubles as investors call it bullish. It's kind of like the ridiculousness of the situation at the moment. During the earnings call, it was clear that Musk is intent on continuing to pursue the goal of deploying fully autonomous vehicles using a camera-only sensor suite and an end-to-end neural network that's been trained on billions of driving miles from the company's fleet. So yes, they're sticking with this camera-only option. And, there are a lot of questions about what if there's sun flare and dust and fog. And I have seen examples of people driving, videoing at the same time of that sun flare in particular, even in Los Angeles where the weather is nice and you don't often get those other problems with it, that it just cuts out as soon as the sun goes in it. Tesla doesn't have a PR department and stopped responding to questions from reporters almost 6 years ago. So often Musk claims about full self-driving go completely unchallenged, and rarely is he asked to defend his positions. Since his acquisition of Twitter and its rebranding as X, Musk has been able to count on his legion of fans to amplify his promises about autonomous cars to the broader world with little pushback. And yes, we can see this as one of the main people, one of his chief influencers, Elon Jellicles, I'm sure paid either directly or indirectly, because they spend all day, every day, these people on X talking about FSD and Tesla. And this guy does videos of FSD all the time, Mars catalog, which is Omar. And this guy's another one. The robots are coming. Farzad, he does YouTube videos. And in just as much of an influencer, he's got over 300,000 followers. And Elon boosts these accounts. That's a way of paying them because they get ad revenue if Elon boosts them with his over 200 million followers. And you can see that Farzad has blocked me a while ago for questioning and obviously making these kinds of videos. And this is him recently, just the other day. I think he's in a Cybertruck now. I wonder where he got that from, whether he paid for it or whether it was given to him or whatever. But he's doing videos in the Cybertruck talking about FSD and Teslas, and this one's about cheaper Teslas. So those are the kind of people, kind of sock puppets, Elon Jellicles, paid influencers, whatever you want to call them. Tesla's earnings calls remain the last place where Musk fields questions about the company's technology. And often those questions are packaged with a lot of fawning and ingratiating remarks from financial analysts who have developed parasocial relationships with the billionaire CEO over the past decade. Yes, and they take questions from retail investors too. They have this voting poll and take the questions. And I noticed on the last one, Elon takes a long time over the answers, rambling, so they just don't get through many questions either. He just goes off on a tangent, starts laughing and joking. Not funny jokes. It's a real smoke screen even on the call. But last night, Musk faced several pointed queries about Tesla's plans to roll out driverless cars in Austin in just a few short months, as investors continue to struggle to pass reality from fiction. Is this going to happen in Austin? And it seems like, well, the questions that he had to answer, it's pretty limited what's actually going to happen. Last year, Musk said that Tesla would roll out unsupervised robotaxis in Austin, Texas, starting in June 2025. And in the call last night, Musk stuck to that deadline. He said the paid ride hailing service would consist of 10 to 20 Model Y vehicles with remote operators in case any of the cars get stuck. So, unsupervised, but also teleoperated in case of emergency, which is similar to Waymo. But this is again a bit of a smokescreen. It's not the wide release. This is really limited, geo limited in Austin. 10 to 20 Model Ys, not the Cybercab. So this is going to be really limited, a limited rollout. And Musk has long promised level 5 autonomy, which describes driverless vehicles that can travel anywhere under any conditions without limitations. It seems like that's quite a long way off, although Elon doesn't say that. But last night, Elon corrected himself. There will be some limitations. A blizzard in Manhattan, for example, may be off limits for Tesla's self-driving taxis. I mean, that's an extreme example because I don't think many people are driving around in those conditions anyway. In other words, geofencing, a practice used by any other operator or of autonomous vehicles, but typically shunned by Musk because it conflicts with his vision of an unfettered, decentralized fleet of driverless cars free to roam anywhere they want. And again, he's been saying this for many years now, that it's just months away. Even back in 2017, it was at TED. He was talking at TED, and he said that he's thinking, oh, and just in a few months, I could see, by the end of the year, I think we'll be able to drive from LA to New York and not touch the wheel once. You can go to sleep. I was saying all that stuff way back then. So it's going to have a rollout. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. So Musk claimed that the company's vision system bypasses image processing and instead uses direct photon counting to account for noise like glare or dust. I mean, that sounds like, again, a bit of a smoke screen, really, about what does that actually mean in terms of, when you get light in a camera and it just completely goes white or whatever, it's not going to be able to see that. Is the AI going to be able to predict what's happening? I mean, there's so many instances and situations where you'd think that wouldn't work. Other robotaxi operators have determined that cameras aren't enough to reliably guide a driverless car through a complex environment. Companies like Waymo, which currently is doing 200,000 fully autonomous taxi rides each week, says that they rely on sensor suite that includes LiDAR, radar, and ultrasonic sensors for redundancy. In the case of the vehicle runs into difficulty, Musk calls this a crutch, so he doesn't like that. And of course, it's a lot cheaper to not do that, which is probably the main reason, because he wants it to go wide. But will it actually work? Has Musk made a major error here by not having that kind of equipment? But the real proof is right around the corner if you continue to believe in Elon Musk's promises. So yes, do you believe it? Do you believe that this is going to happen? How do you think it's going to go, this rollout? And do you think it's going to be a lot longer? Let me know in the comments what you think. I'd love you to comment on this. What do you think about FSD? Is it a while away? Is it just more of Musk promises? Let me know what you think. Now, I'm going to put a related video just there. Do go and see that now if you want to. And a subscribe link on the screen. Do subscribe if you want. Get more of these kind of videos from me in the future. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.